In the previous video, you heard that the child had reached the spring fair. At the entrance of the fair, to one corner, a sweetmeat seller had set up a shop. He was selling various sweets like gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi and jalebi. The sweets were displayed at different heights and were covered with foils of gold and silver. The boy's mouth watered when he sighted his favorite barfi. He expressed his desire to get one in a low voice because he knew that his request would be refuted by his parents. They would say that he was greedy for the barfi. As he did not expect that his demand would be fulfilled, he walked further. The next stall was that of a flower seller. He announced that he was selling garlands of gulmohar flower. The child wanted one of those. He walked towards the basket of flowers and again announced his desire to have one in a low voice because he knew that his demand would not be fulfilled. His parents would refuse to buy him the flowers as they would say that they were cheap. Again, the boy walked ahead without expecting a reply from his parents. The next thing that the child came across was a balloon seller selling balloons of different colors of the rainbow. The boy was attracted to the shiny colors of the balloons and wanted to have them all. He knew that his parents would not buy the balloons for him, as they would reason that he was too old to play with them. So the child walked further. Then he paused at a snake charmer who was playing a flute, and the snake was twisting its neck to the music. The snake had coiled itself in a basket and had raised its head out. It bent and moved its neck gracefully like a swan. It seemed that the music of the flute was heard by the snake's invisible ears and created the effect of a waterfall on it, because it swayed its neck in a similar way. The boy walked towards the snake charmer, but as his parents had warned him to stay away from the unpleasant music played by such men, he walked further. Then he saw a roundabout swing. It was full of men, women and children who were enjoying the ride. The boy got really happy and excited on seeing it. He watched the people on the roundabout and was very excited. And then with a lot of courage, he finally expressed his desire to go on that roundabout. And this time also, his parents didn't reply. When his parents did not reply, he turned towards them. And guess what happened? He saw that they were nowhere around. He looked around, here and there, and everywhere, but his parents were nowhere to be seen. The boy got scared. He cried loudly, jerked his body, and ran here and there, calling out for his parents. He was full of fear, and tears started rolling down his cheeks. As he wailed and started running around, his turban had opened and his clothes became muddy. After some time, he gave up. The loud cries turned into mild sobs. He saw some people standing and talking and tried to find if his parents were among them. The laughter and talks of the people were meaningless to the child. He was simply searching for his parents. The boy ran towards a temple which was crowded with people. He ran through the legs of the men, calling out for his parents. The crowd was pushing each other as he neared the entrance of the temple. The boy got scared of the huge, strong men who stared people with their murderous eyes and pushed them with their strong and big shoulders. The boy could have been crushed under the feet of the men had his cries not been heard by a man in the crowd. This man lifted the child. As the man got the child out of the crowd, he asked him how he had reached there and what his parents' names were. The boy cried even more and repeated that he wanted to go to his parents. The man tried to relax the child by taking him to the roundabout swing. He offered him a ride, but the child screamed and wept loudly and said that he wanted his parents. The man started walking back on the same route which the child had taken. So he took the child to the snake charmer. He asked him to listen to the nice music being played by the snake charmer. The child shut his ears with his fingers and screamed loudly that he wanted his parents. The man took the child to the bright colored balloons, hoping that he might get cheered on seeing them. He offered a balloon to the child, but the child turned away and wept for his parents. The man tried to make the child happy and took him to the flower seller. He asked him to smell the fragrance of the flowers and offered him a garland. The child refused to smell the flowers that he wanted to buy earlier because now his priority was to get his parents. Finally, the man took him to the sweetmeat seller and offered him to buy sweets. Still, the child did not want his favorite sweet but wanted his parents. So, students, the entire story is based on the theme of the close bond that children share with their parents and how all desire. I hope you're clear with the chapter. Let's go through the summary very quickly. In the story, we read that the spring had arrived and everyone moved out their houses, and so did the little child and his family. All his way, the child got attracted by little things that he saw and wanted to have them. But knowing his parents well, he didn't demand for anything. While coming to the fair, he saw fields, flowers, birds, and insects. As he is a child, the moment he saw something new, he got mesmerized and forgot about all the other things he saw earlier. Finally, walking through the streets, fields, and lanes, he reaches the fair with his parents. As they move forward, the child wanted various things being displayed in the stalls. His mouth watered seeing sweets decorated with gold and silver leaves. He wanted his favorite barfi, but knowing that his parents would refuse on the ground that he was greedy, he walked ahead. Then he saw beautiful garlands of gulmohar, but didn't ask for it. Then he saw balloons, but he knew very well that his parents would deny due to the fact that he was too old to play with the balloons. So he walked away. He then saw a snake charmer, but remembered his parents had told him not to listen to such coarse music, and so he moved forward. Finally, he reached a roundabout swing. He got really excited seeing the men, women, and children on being carried away in a whirling motion, shrieking and crying with dizzy laughter to enjoy the swing. But to his astonishment, there was no reply. Neither his father nor his mother was there. He looked in all directions. He ran here and there but could not find them. Now he realized that he was lost. He cried in fear and shouted for his parents at the top of his voice. He was terrified. He ran in all directions without knowing where to go, and finally stood at one place. His crying now changed into sobbing. He started running again and reached a shrine. The place was overcrowded. The child struggled to make way and get in. As he tried to move past the crowd, he was knocked to and fro by the huge people. But suddenly, a kind-hearted man took him up in his arms and asked him how he got here. The child kept weeping. He consoled the bitterly weeping child. He asked if he would like to have a joyride, but the child sobbed, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man offered him sweets, balloons, and garlands, and everything else that the child once wanted. But the child kept sobbing, "I want my father and I want my mother." So after reading the story, students, I hope you realize the author tries to show us the bond of a child with his parents. Though his parents did not provide him with all the necessities that he once needed, but then he was too attached to them, and the thought of being separated from them made him cry and weep like a little child. Finally, let's go through the message that the story gives us. In the story, the theme of love for parents, the desires of the child, and the ultimate want of the human being has been focused. The child in the story wants every attractive thing in the fair when he was with his parents. After getting separated from his parents, his only demand was his parents, and none of the material things would satisfy his wants for his parents. He wished and cried only for his parents. The story expresses the human nature that throughout our life we keep on searching happiness in material things and keep demanding them, but ultimately, the happiness lies in the bond of the family. Parents and their support are the best gifts from God. Students, that was all for today. Please make sure you read thoroughly and go through the chapter well.